Welcome back to Seen It Before, where we're probably going to say something stupid about your favorite movie because we've seen it all before. I'm Danny.
And I'm Dan, and Danny just messed that up like 3 times in a row.
Yeah.
He had a total brain fart of what we were supposed to say. And I'm just like,
well, I'm so used to saying the other thing,
Used to saying
which
it.
is dead now, which you can't say it anymore.
we're dead. It's dead.
It's dead
in
and
the
gone.
ground.
It's buried.
Buried. Anyway, so
Is that how you pronounce it? Is it buried or buried?
buried.
Buried?
Like Barry, like Barry Allen.
But it's spelled
buried.
buried.
Yeah, I know. English is a weird language.
Yeah, you're right.
Anyway, so we were going to do a different movie this week, but we decided, all right.
Came out on Blu-ray, so we're like, yeah, let's do it.
Yes, that and this movie is one of the biggest movies I had that I wanted to watch this past year in 2021. So I'm excited to see Last Night in Soho finally. And you haven't seen it, right?
No, I haven't seen it.
All right, neither of us have seen it. That's a rarity on this podcast.
Only took us 6 episodes to see a movie that we haven't seen before on a podcast called Seen It Before.
Yeah, I mean, ironic. But yeah, back to this movie, Last Night in Soho. So I am going in pretty blind to this. I've seen snippets of the trailer. I love Edgar Wright. And this is the first movie we are reviewing of his in about a year now, since we saw
Shaun of the Dead, right?
Yes. Yeah. Shaun of the Dead. We did 2. Oh my god,
We did Baby Driver, which is the secret.
Shaun of the Dead.
Shaun of the Dead and Scott Pilgrim.
Scott Pilgrim, yeah. It's been a while for Edgar Wright, and he's one of my favorite directors.
We got to do World's End at some point, because that one's like my favorite of the Cornetto trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
And like,
I haven't
it's
seen that
underrated.
I haven't seen that one.
It's so good.
Yeah. But anyway, so this one, since I don't know much about it, Danny, you kind of sort of knows some stuff about it.
I've seen the trailer a couple times. So what I understand about it is that it takes place in modern day. Or there's one timeline where this girl is like a barista or whatever. She stays at this hotel, and she sees visions of this girl who died in the 60s, who was murdered in the 60s, and it's kind of like crossing timelines to try to solve her murder. By the guy. So the girl who gets murdered is played by Anya Taylor-Joy, and the guy who kills her is Matt Smith. He's the doctor.
He's one of the doctors, doctor. Yeah. And Anya Taylor-Joy is one of she gets a lot of work in Hollywood nowadays.
Yeah, she's like an up-and-coming, well, not really an up-and-coming star anymore. She was when I saw her in The Witch.
Until she was in the Queen's Gambit. I'm pretty sure she was an up-and-coming
Queen's Gambit,
star.
yeah, kind of solidified her.
Yeah.
So yeah, she's kind of a name now. So I don't know the other girl's name, but she looks familiar.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, so the synopsis on IMDb is that an aspiring fashion designer is mysteriously able to enter the 60s, where she encounters a dazzling wannabe singer, but the glamour is not all it appears to be, and the dreams of the past start to crack and splinter into something darker. So I am very excited for the horror elements that Edgar Wright's going to possibly throw at us, because we haven't seen him do horror up to this point, really. Besides,
we haven't seen him do straight horror. We've seen him do horror comedy.
Yeah, like
but
Shaun of the Dead.
Even he admits that's a romantic comedy with zombies.
Exactly. So this is, I'm highly anticipated with this movie, and I had to make a 2010 or 2010, geez, a 2021 top 10 list. So, and I was thinking all along, this is probably gonna be my top 10. Let's see if it pans out. Let's get to it.
So we just watched Last Night in Soho. Hopefully Dan isn't more interested in his phone.
No, I'm good. I'm actually ready. I was just looking through the rest of the trivia for this movie.
So
anyway.
Before we were doing this, I was doing stuff on the computer when he was ready. And then when I was ready, he was doing stuff on his phone. And then we vice versa switched again.
Yep. No, I was ready this time. I was ready. But all right, Last Night in Soho. There's a lot to unpack here.
Oh, yeah.
A lot. Obviously, the main theme of this movie, well, not the theme, but the genre is kind of like psychological horror, I'd say.
Yeah.
For the most part. That we knew that going in.
Yeah, like a lot more, like, yeah, it was interesting to see Edgar Wright do that because, you never see him, like, do straight psychological horror. It's really weird, but, like, it's stylized in like his style.
It's definitely his style.
Yeah, so it's like you can tell it's him, but it's really cool to see him kind of step out of his, I guess, comfort zone with comedy.
Yeah, all the music is still very heavily inspired in the movie, and it's on point as usual. Like I didn't know many of these. I knew a few of the songs that were in there, but I was like, this jives real well with the movie, and I mean, he's always been known for that, especially Baby Driver and oh god, what's the other one that he had?
Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah, Scott Pilgrim. Yeah. Why do I keep forgetting that? The 2 movies we fucking watched.
Yeah. We also watched Shaun of the Dead too.
Yeah, well, you know.
That's his most famous one.
I know it is. It is.
Well, Baby Driver probably is his most famous one now.
Recently,
but
yes.
like cult classic, Shaun of the Dead.
For sure.
That's where he got a name for himself.
Yeah. All right, let's start at the beginning of this movie. So we're kind of introduced to the main character, Eloise. She can see ghosts and stuff like that, and all that junk.
Yeah, so that was kind of like because I have a question later on where like how exactly does like her seeing all these stuff work? Like, what are the rules? So I guess that's kind of like a little explanation is like she can see why she can see them in the first place. In the ghosts and stuff, but I'll get to that later. But yeah, she dreams of being a big name fashion designer. She's she's so passionate about it. She comes to school on her first day wearing her own creation. You see,
bold choice.
As fucking Jocasta says.
Yeah, her roommate Jocasta. What kind of name is Jocasta? First of all, like, it stands out.
The only other Jocasta that I know is Jocasta Nu from Star Wars.
Oh yeah,
yeah, because she's the librarian.
Yeah.
So I didn't know it was an actual like name.
Yeah, I guess it was.
Which is funny.
I mean, I did briefly read a preset trivia that said that that is what Edgar Wright would have wanted to be named if he was a girl.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
This movie is psychological horror mixed with, Me Too violence against women stuff. But it starts out with, there's this creepy cabbie when she first gets to London. He's just like, hey, oh, you got the legs for it. It's like, oh, yeah, okay, buddy. You can a little, and
yeah.
And another theme throughout this movie is like, oh, London is a bad place. Like, most big cities in the 60s, 70s were really bad places. New York City in the fucking 70s was awful. And I mean, there's that whole documentary on Netflix about New York in the 70s. So,
yeah, and like, so the thing that like I want to kind of break down is like, I'm gonna try to mince my words very carefully because they may be construed into victim blaming.
Okay,
but I, as myself, understand that cities are a breeding ground for crime and bad shit. Why do we always hear the story of the wide-eyed Midwestern girl going to the big city to make her dreams come true, and then shit doesn't work out for her? Why do we keep hearing that story? Because that's what kind of the story is like based on.
Honestly, you're right. This is a very similar story. Country girl going to the big city and hoping to fulfill her dreams of becoming a fashion designer.
Exactly. So it's not to say that like, oh, she had it coming, but it's like, shouldn't she, like, everyone's warning her before the movie, like, London can be a lot in so many words saying this is a bad place and it's not the best. It's not the best place to be. There's gonna be creeps.
Yeah,
and so like, I just want
it's a stereotype.
Yeah, so I just want to know why that's just the thing. Do people actually believe that cities are safe?
No, I don't think people believe cities are safe.
Well, that's
honestly.
good. They should. I'm terrified of New York City.
There are certain parts of cities that are safer. Not safe totally. No place is totally safe.
But you have to know which areas are safe and what aren't.
Yeah, you got to do your research and stuff like that. But obviously back then in the 60s, you couldn't. You couldn't.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and that's, yeah. So back to what you're saying about the this whole, this movie being kind of like for the Me Too movement.
And violence against women.
Violence against women. This is a movie that finally does social commentary like that, but in the right way, where it has relevance to its plot and to its story. Instead of just being like it would be one thing to like have a story of a fashion designer going to the big city and then trying to fulfill her dreams and having like the regular drama of like, trying and failing and being a fashion designer, that kind of thing. And then having that scene of the cabbie being really creepy. That would be one thing where it's just like, it's not really needed. But now that scene's important because it's a prelude to everything else we see in the movie.
It's all setting the pieces for what's to come. It's very good foreshadowing. Exactly. And Edgar Wright does it really well.
Yeah.
So, besides just all this, her wanting to be a fashion designer. When we first get to her going into the past, so she gets her and Jocasta don't jive whatsoever.
Yeah,
so
no.
she moves out of there.
I don't think anyone would jive with Jocasta.
Yeah.
I fucking hate her.
Yeah.
Like just the scene that like put me over the edge was when she like brings a guy back to her room, and then Ellie's just sleeping, being like the normal person. She's sleeping. She's sleeping.
Dude, that's college in a nutshell. Like,
has that ever happened to you? Does someone ever do that?
No, not at Adirondack, but I also never lived like with on-campus housing
Okay.
at the other college I went to. So it's, I don't know, man. Like, I know Joe has had it happen to him before. Like his roommate, because he lived on campus his first year.
That sucks.
And yeah,
That's so awkward.
I think the dude randomly came in one night and started peeing on the floor or something. Like he was that drunk.
Oh.
Yeah, it was a weird time. I was like, bro, you good?
See, I did that once. I wasn't drunk, but I was a kid. I was like sleepwalking, and I peed in a drawer in my bathroom. I thought it was a toilet.
In your drawers?
I peed in the drawers. It's so funny.
Dad jokes for days. But yeah. So
you should write a book on dad jokes.
Fuck off, I know. So going back to Jocasta, so Eloise moves out of her apartment and finds this thing for rent. It's just a random apartment for rent. It's owner is Miss Collins. So she gives her a room upstairs. It's very 60s like, very old fashioned in a way, and it's like perfect for Eloise.
Yeah, because Ellie at this point in the story, is obsessed with the 60s. She's like nostalgic for an era she never lived in.
Music, the era, everything about it.
Yeah.
She was all for it.
Yeah, I knew like a kid in high school who was like obsessed with the 50s. Like he had like the greaser haircut and he had the high waters with the rolled up jeans and stuff, and he always wore a leather jacket.
I had a kid who Naruto ran down the hallway.
He what?
Naruto ran down the hallway.
Oh, well, that's... What does that have to do with anything?
I don't know. You were saying something weird about a kid in your school. I'm saying that's something weird about a kid in my school.
Oh, I had plenty of Naruto kids in my school.
Did they ever run down the hallway like that?
They mememed about it, but they never did it
No,
seriously.
they did it. This kid did it seriously. No offense if you ever Naruto.
Yeah, like
run
no
down the
offense to
hallway.
people who like Naruto and like who unironically Naruto run down the hallway. It's just I wouldn't do it.
She starts having these dreams of this girl, Sandy, who lived in the 60s and wanted to become a singer. Kind of the same track that she was on. Like, obviously not a fashion designer, but a singer. And she kind of wanted to, become the next big thing in London, like a bar singer, like that kind of thing, or a club singer.
So she had a legit career, like dreams to have, not end up where she did end up going. I was under the impression I fell for it too. Like, I thought Jack, who she meets,
Matt Smith's character.
Yeah, Matt Smith. I was under the impression he was connected and he knew all these guys and to get into like the London entertainment scene. I was convinced. And then we see that one scene where like she's just a burlesque dancer.
Yeah, that's like the next time or a time after that when she starts dreaming, and like it just keeps spiraling downhill from there. And before we get into all of that stuff, I want to say this movie is a love letter to the 60s, just the way Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was to Tarantino.
Yeah.
Total, really well done. Practically, too, as well, I'm pretty sure, for the street shots in Soho.
I want to know how they did those mirror shots. That seems
I did look that up.
Coolest thing.
Most of it was practical. And then some of it was green screen, I think.
I did spot a stunt double at one point.
Yeah.
It was it was at the point where like Matt Smith was going down on Anya Taylor-Joy, and then you could see in the mirror it was Ellie, and then Matt Smith again. But yeah, I could totally tell that was his stunt double with Ellie. So, but yeah, it was still really cool.
It was very far in the background and kind of hard to spot if you weren't looking for it.
Yeah.
So
I'm just like, how the fuck did, especially like the the shot where like she's going up the stair, like the kind of spiral staircase, and there's kind of like those mirrors. There's like a bunch of mirrors. How do they do that?
That was really cool, and I'm pretty sure it was green screen.
Oh, okay.
I'm
That makes
sure
sense.
it was probably green screen.
That was like the coolest one.
Dude, I think we both said, we're like, yo, that's pretty sick.
Yeah. Well, this is Edgar Wright's style. He's very stylized as a director. Like he, like that one shot where like we first go into the dream, and she pulls the sheet over her, and we kind of dolly back, but the sheet's still going. It's so cool. I just love that.
Like, it's satisfying, too.
Yeah.
Like, it's a very satisfying shot. Like, because I do that all the time. It's like, I love that feeling when the blanket's coming down on you like that. It's like, oh, this is nice. It's satisfying both ways.
He captured the feeling.
He's got it. Yeah, it was great.
Got it.
He got it right. Right.
Right.
Get it? He got it.
He got it right. Edgar Wright.
Okay, cool.
It's funny.
All right, so I'm done with dad jokes now. Let's see here.
I love what she said. I just wrote a bunch of little stupid stuff. So like, she said, "I don't do laundry." I'm like, "Yeah, I don't do laundry either."
And then she's like, "Well, I do laundry," and then you're like, "Oh."
Yeah. Well, I do laundry once a month.
Yeah, I don't know how you have that many clothes, man.
I do. I just do.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah. Well, I also want to do it once a month because I don't dry. I don't like machine dry my clothes because they always shrink.
Right. That's right. Yeah.
'Cause I got broad shoulders and shirts shrink, and then it's annoying as fuck. Anyway, back to the movie.
So as I was saying, we're gonna get to the downward spiral of going back to the '60s now.
Right.
So it kind of.
Well, actually, hold on before we do that, because I just want to get all my joke notes out of the way.
Okay.
Matt Smith has really small eyes. You ever notice that?
No.
He like you look at him far away, like because I did this to like randomly. So I looked at a picture of him far away, compared to somebody else who was also the same distance, and his eyes were like tiny, compared to the other guy. I forgot who I was comparing him to, but the guy had the other guy had regular eyes, and like Matt Smith's eyes are so tiny, and he kind of looks like a cat. You know what I mean? Like he's got like the Sphinx cat like features.
Yeah, no, I get that.
Yeah, like everyone says Ron Perlman looks like a cat, which I don't disagree with.
I mean, yeah, I see all the memes all the time.
He looks like a cat.
Funny.
But Matt Smith also looks like a cat. So we have the spectrum of cat actors.
Spectrum of cat actors. Hell yeah.
Ironically, neither of them were in Cats.
Thank God neither of them were in Cats.
Matt Smith might have been in Cats. I don't know.
I don't think he was, but okay. I hope he wasn't.
I hope not either.
Anyway, any more joke notes you got?
No,
let's see if I have any more joke notes.
That's it.
Might as well get them out of the way. Well, back to Jocasta for a second. So, when she was talking to, or when Eloise like confided in her that her mother died and all that stuff, and she like made fun of that, and it was just like to get attention. It was like, are you kidding?
Ooh,
wow, that's so bitchy. And then Eloise told the other kids when she met them, and then she's like, oh, she's trying to get attention or whatever. And then they were all like feeling for Eloise, and then she's like, oh, my uncle killed himself. I was like, oh my God, what the fuck, dude?
Well, okay, so I assume Edgar Wright wrote this.
Yeah.
The thing I just want to kind of highlight, and I don't think he may have not been doing this intentionally, but I kind of picked up on it. Characters kind of act consistently with who you find out them to be. So, for example, like Jocasta's, I first caught it when Jocasta said, "Who does your dad work for?" Or no, what does your dad do? Right? And then Ellie says, "Oh, I don't have a dad, or never met him, or whatever." And then she says, "What does your mom do?" Then she said, "Oh, she died, whatever, blah blah blah." And then Jocasta says, "Yeah, my mom died too." So in my head, that kind of like she prioritized her father over her mother in that moment because she's so used to just talking about her dad before her mom because her mom killed herself. She's not in her life. I just thought that was kind of interesting. And then also like she's totally projecting, like she's just saying that to get attention, totally projecting that onto Ellie. Yeah. So anyway, I just thought that was kind of neat that like if Edgar Wright was doing that on purpose, that's really cool, smart thinking.
It shows like really,
like forethought,
Yeah, forethought and like creative writing in general.
Yeah.
But let's see if I got any other last ones. No, I got nothing. No, that's it. So all right, back now to the
Back to, like, the
spiraling downwards.
Spiral of the movie.
Okay. So yeah, she keeps having the dreams and everything, and just it doesn't get any better. Like
Yeah,
it gets, as I said, she's a burlesque dancer at one point. Then she became a prostitute, and then it just kept going downhill from there. And
yeah, like I wrote in my notes, like, oh, so she's a stripper, and then in the next note I have oh, she's a hooker. So
yikes!
so it's like
The joke notes were gone.
well, I guess. Okay.
Anyway, keep going.
So a thing that I kind of picked up on, it was a quick shot. Matt Smith or Jack and the guy he punched. After the burlesque scene, they're talking and hanging out and having a fun time. So were they working together to kind of con Sandy into being Matt to be her pimp?
Think so,
Because that would be kind of like interesting stuff that is just kind of glossed over. So it's like cool that it's there, you know?
Yeah, like it's rough out there, and like if you're not used to this kind of stuff and you kind of get sucked into it, it's hard to get out. And that's another thing about violence against women. Like they get trapped and there's no way out because you're just like,
Yeah. Well, like
I don't want to say trapped again. I was going to say trapped again. I'm like, I can't say trapped.
I've met like a few like abused women. Like my dad talks to, he's in the gun world, so he talks to a couple activists who are from that kind of domestic abuse area who advocate guns as safety. And I've talked to them, and they say like that's exactly how it is. Where like you meet this person, they're a narcissist, so they completely suck you in, and they completely convince you that they're this person, this good person, and then all of a sudden they flip on a dime.
Yeah.
And then you're stuck in like, because you still like have feelings for them, and like you're trapped in that kind of like, you're fighting yourself in a way.
Yeah.
And it's
an internal struggle. And
I mean, at some point I think Sandy kind of like realizes that I never liked this guy ever. And she's just physically trapped in like the because of all the men and stuff. And like,
and that it kept getting worse. And then eventually, Eloise meets a man, she thinks it's Jack. And that was so this guy Jack, he totally had Jack qualities. And we're gonna spoil it right now. Like he wasn't Jack, but we'll get to who he was in a little bit. But he had very Jack-like qualities, very narcissistic personality.
Like kind of like he acted like Jack acted, like really smooth talking. He was also hitting on Ellie a little creepily.
Yeah,
he's like all the.
I know you. Blondes. I know your type or whatever.
Yeah, and like I guess you could chalk that up to just like he lived in that time, and that's how he could act, and now it's not acceptable and stuff. Yeah. So.
And Sandy was basically, whoring herself out one night, and a bunch of people kept coming through, and
sorry, just whoring herself out.
Yeah, I know. I probably shouldn't have said it like that.
Yeah, it's probably not the most delicate way of putting it, but she was inviting men over.
Yeah, she was in the club, but
right, yeah,
and then one other dude comes over and says the same thing everybody else is saying, like. What were they saying? It was
so there's a whole montage of her saying,
what's your name?
What's your name? It's this. Oh, that's a lovely name. They go and have sex. So that's going to be that's like the whole kind of beat. But then they break it up when, I don't know his name. I think his name's Sam something. He was in the Hunger Games Catching Fire. He played Finnick, something like that.
It's probably
Finnick. Yeah, but he's kind of like the only kind of good guy where he's like, you better get out before shit gets too bad for you, And she's like, yeah, I know, blah, 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 whatever.
He ends up being a cop. Like, she's like, oh, you're obviously a cop. And, well, that is the guy who we thought is Jack. He was a cop, and he ended up jumping in front of a fucking car and killing himself after a big spat with Eloise in the bar.
Yeah.
So,
here's something. So I don't quite understand why he did that.
You need to make a point.
Okay, but like if you're like an old guy and like you just like know that like, or like you have like barely any connection to like what is happening to the main story. Why would you just kill yourself?
See, that was it was a part I found weird because like he didn't get much character development like when he was younger. So
he's in one scene, literally.
Yes.
So
and it's like, okay, oh, he was that guy, but like it doesn't have the impact we need it to have because it could have been done in a way where I don't know, but better.
I think it would have been if you want to like. So Ellie is kind of like the golden character in this, where she doesn't get her hands dirty. She doesn't.
The main character.
She's the main character, and she's like she's just kind of the voyeur, like looking into what is happening and stuff. And so she's infallible. I think you could have made it so she accidentally pushes him into the road or something like that. So kind of have where like it's like you're lying, pushes him, and then he dies or whatever.
But that would have been bad for her though.
Yeah, because then logically she would have been brought to the police station. So it's not like I don't know. Maybe you make it like an obvious accident, you know?
It's like it's hard because we find out who he was, but he knew he's like, oh, I know you, and you look familiar because he had seen her before, and he was like looking out for them. Like, you try to like track down the pimps and catch them in the act and all that stuff or whatever, prostitution. But
oh wait, that makes sense now.
Yeah, that's why he was there. He was.
So he's like, everyone knows Sandy. So
yeah,
did he like secretly have like a backstory where like he's like so depressed that like he just couldn't find the men that were doing this?
I think he was trying to find who. Yeah, like,
or he couldn't find Sandy. Once maybe he figured out she was a serial killer.
See, it's very strange because like, all right, let's come back to this because I want to come back to this later. But let's get to the end of the movie now, since we're basically already there.
So big twist. So basically, leading up to like the big twist, we see like the final confrontation between Sandy and Jack, and it looks like. In a really weird scene where Ellie is like gonna have sex with John now. Oh, by the way, John's around, which we'll get to him because I want to talk about him. But so like they go upstairs and they're about to have sex, and then it's a really stylized kind of like when they're about to do it, we see like a very stylized death scene for Sandy by Jack stabbing her a bunch of times and stuff, and then it's like really weird, and then John is just like freaking out. It's like, what the fuck's going on, man?
And then Mrs. Collins comes from downstairs. She's like, what's going on?
Yeah, it's like, is there because she said, no male visitors
after 8 p.m. Yep. And it's like, yeah. So it's another thing like, are you okay? And there's another thing to, violence against women because he's in the room. Thinking it's a rape, and it's like, or an attempted assault, in other words, and
it's like I would be so terrified if I was John, at that moment because it's like I really care for this girl for some reason, which I don't understand why he cares so much about her, but I'm about to have sex with her, and then she just starts throwing a fit, and it's like I didn't do anything wrong, you know, I would just be terrified, and then to have a witness. Where it sounds like, have a witness like of behind the door with Miss Collins, this makes it sound like it's a rape.
Yeah.
And then the broken mirror and everything, it's the whole thing. I would be so terrified if I was him. And it's like, why does he still go back to Ellie after that?
It shows both sides of the argument in a way, because like, shit, I didn't do anything, and then she's like, it's like, this is some. I don't know.
It's like what? Like she's freaking the fuck out, and she's having a mental breakdown. And he's like,
it can be assumed from the other side of the door that like she's getting assaulted.
Yeah.
And at the same time, like if you came in and he's like nowhere near her and stuff, it's like I don't know what's going on, but like in his mind, he's just freaking out.
Well, yeah, because like
it's just
I don't know, man.
It's a wild scenario.
I don't buy that. He is still interested in Ellie after that. So I can buy it sort of how he's just randomly like super into Ellie for no reason from the very beginning, where he's always like, hey Ellie, what's going on? Like, can I help you? What's going on with you? Like, are you okay? And then I can understand that maybe if you just like have love at first sight or some shit like that. But then after she freaks out, like I would be freaked out. I would be like, I barely know this girl. I would be like distancing myself. And then
this shit cray.
And then, then Ellie starts to be haunted by all these like, like we even said like, what in the sleep paralysis demon is that?
Yeah. Like there's this ghost of a dude just like chilling in the window, or like it was either the window or the closet or something. I don't know. Yeah. But it was like, oh, hey there, demon.
Like it didn't go away.
Yeah. It's like, it's me, Satan. Hey, what's going on?
What's going on, guys?
It's, oh God, I've had instances like that with sleep paralysis, and it's terrifying.
See, I've never saw anyone. I just kind of like can't move.
It's not. It ain't. Nope. I'm not going there. But yeah. So back to the final battle now. Now we're all caught up. So she's going back to leave from Miss Collins, basically, and so she goes to her apartment, which is downstairs. Has a cup of tea with her, and then she realizes that. Oh no, sorry. Let's go backtrack just a second, because Jack, before he died, he said, "No, you're looking for Alex." So,
not Jack, Lindsay.
Lindsay, sorry, Lindsay's his name, but it's the Jack guy we thought was Jack,
the old guy.
Yeah.
Also, who sings really weirdly.
Yeah, he thought she was
Who's Alex?
The name is okay. Yeah. Like we're both like, who the fuck is Alex?
Oh, wait a minute.
Yeah.
That was the name that Sandy gave him in the bar all those years ago, right?
Yeah.
I just connected it because I was thinking Alex. I'm thinking that's a guy's name because like Alex killed her.
Alexandra. That's her real name too. Yeah. All right. So anyway, Miss Collins turns out to be Alexandra. So Sandy never died.
Yeah. She never died.
And she actually killed Jack and all these other men. She was like on a murder spree of all these guys that have assaulted her and done things to her that she didn't want done to her. And I mean, hey, good for you, but you can't do that.
Oh yeah, so that was like my last note. It's like, do you think that she's justified in being a serial murderer of all these men who, like, what at best had like really rough unwanted sex to rape with her?
You worded that very strangely.
Well, I don't know, like not
try again.
Not rape, but like slightly unwillingness to have sex. Like okay, I'll do it.
She's like, I never wanted this. So she never. Yeah. She only wanted to be a singer, but then she ended up getting into all these other things, and she just needed money, I guess, at that point. So I mean.
Yeah. So the Harvey Weinstein kind of effect.
Yeah. There's another thing too. It just keeps piling on.
He's what sparked me too, or was it Bill Cosby?
No, it was him.
It was Weinstein.
But so she finds out and she ends up poisoning Eloise, and then John comes to the door again because they came together. Shocker. Can't get rid of John.
I just don't get John's obsession with Ellie. I just don't get it.
So yeah. I guess Sadie stabs John, and he's on the floor just bleeding out. There's a fire in Sadie's apartment.
Yeah.
And then Sadie and Sandy.
Jesus. You keep saying Sadie.
I'm sorry. Sandy and Ellie just are battling up the stairs, like. And then there's this one part where it changes from the old lady to young Sandy, and it looks like a James Bond opening.
Yeah, you said it was like oh my god, it is a James Bond opening, which we kind of. I'm not sure if we talked.
We
about
didn't talk about it on this podcast yet, but we'll get to that in a second too. But yeah, anyway, Sandy ends up being like, "Get out of here!" She sees all the men as ghosts in the room at the end, and she's like. Fuck it, I'm done. She knows she's done. So she just ends up, killing herself.
Eating herself
in the fire. And, she's like, yeah, get out of here. So Ellie and John escape, and they're both fine. Somehow John survives a stab to the gut.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Movie logic.
Yeah.
You know.
And I guess Ellie didn't get poisoned enough. Like,
yeah, I don't.
She's pretty frail. I don't
quite understand that. You know, movie logic again.
See that? Whatever. I can forgive that. I guess
maybe the fireman
had
what's it called?
Narcan.
Narcan. Yeah.
Narcan doesn't work on that kind of poison.
I don't know, man. Movie logic.
Narcan is for OD. So
maybe she just didn't drink enough tea.
But yeah,
which it gave me some like hardcore Get Out vibes. Like at that whole scene,
yeah.
You know, with the tea, but she didn't like clang it. But like it looked like that room that they're in, like her apartment. It looked a little bit like the layout of the room that they're doing in Get Out. Yeah,
I was like, oh god, not that again.
Yeah.
But yeah. So back to James Bond. All right, that's basically the end of the movie.
Yeah. Well, okay. So I wanted to talk about the point where like the final, I guess the climax thing of the
if you okay.
If it's an inside joke. One time I said climax like 7 times when I was doing a structure 101.
A minute.
Yeah. And we just put a bunch of dings, and so now it's like an inside joke. Okay. All the ghosts of the men that Sandy killed are hanging out, and it was like, kill her, get revenge. So it's like they haven't learned anything in the afterlife. No. Like they don't understand their actions, so it's it's just dumb. And I think is that like the commentary on like because okay. So the villain of this movie, I feel like Edgar Wright is pointing out is like toxic masculinity, right? So I think that is kind of like commenting on it, like toxic masculinity. People
never change.
Yeah,
even in the afterlife.
Yeah, even in the afterlife, there's like they can't learn lessons.
Yep.
So it's only you are a better person if you learn the lesson of toxic masculinity. Blah blah blah.
Exactly.
Just don't be shitty.
Don't be a shitty person.
It's that simple.
Yeah.
But yeah, I liked how like it doesn't really make you feel sympathy. It makes you understand both sides of the argument, but it doesn't make you feel sympathy for either side. Although at the same time though, Ellie says like, yeah, they deserved it. I'm like, I think that's a bit too far for her to say, but
well, she was tormented by them for like weeks.
I get it. I get it, but like now she knows the whole story.
Yes.
So I think, and like I think we both agree they don't deserve to be murdered in the way that they did because of what they did in their lives.
No, but that is a realistic thing that could happen. Some woman could snap and kill a bunch of men that assaulted her. Like these are all
it's very understandable.
Possibly realistic things.
Yeah. I wouldn't doubt there's a female serial killer out there who at one point was a battered woman. Well, that can we say that word? Is that like a term that we can still say?
Well, an abused woman.
Abused woman, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, and like I've seen movies like this, like I Spit on Your Grave, where that's like, she gets brutally raped by 3 guys, and then she comes back one by one to murder them in very, very explicit and awesome ways. I'll add. I love that movie. It's so great. So it's like, yeah, it's kind of like these movies where it's like it has a good social commentary without being heavy-handed, and like it actually has a reason for being there, and that's what I love about this movie. Like, it's not amazing. There's like plot holes and stuff that I don't understand. Sure. Every movie's like that. You're always going to run into it, but it's for the most part it's a solid movie. So,
and I know you want to talk about John a little bit more.
Yeah, John. Mr. Pete Davidson over here. He looks exactly like Pete Davidson.
His face does look a little. It reminds you of Pete Davidson, yes, for sure.
I don't know. I like him as a character. Like it's weird. I have a love-hate relationship because it's like, dude, you're a fucking idiot for hanging out with Ellie after everything. She didn't accuse you of rape, but she put you in a position to where you could be accused of rape. That's what I would be mad about. Mm-hmm. Then she gets you stabbed by the old lady, and then you're still supporting her. And meanwhile, she's having a complete mental breakdown the entire movie. Like, dude, I don't understand what's up with you. You must have like simp energy to the limit. Like,
hey,
Yeah,
I guess so. I mean, it's that South London energy, I guess.
So yeah, it's like, where'd you move from? South London.
But yeah, so it's, oh God, this John. Oh my God, dude.
I mean, I like him though, because he's like, he's charming, and he's just like, I heard you work here, and I want to kill 2 birds with one stone.
He's definitely a likable character, for sure.
He's not like Jocasta. Jocasta's a bitch.
Fucking bitch. I'll see you next Tuesday. But
they say cunt a lot in this movie. Is that like a British thing?
I don't. I say like twice, 2 or 3 times.
Really?
I didn't.
I feel like they said it like
maybe
a bunch
I
of
just
times.
spaced or something, but I only.
I remember the one
twice.
time, the one very specific
Yeah, I
time
remember
where it's
that
like, where he's just like, she's a cunt, she's a slut, and then he punches him.
Yeah, I do remember that. That was.
But like,
yeah.
yeah.
Another point you just reminded me of earlier about victim blaming and not believing.
Oh,
they went to
yeah.
the police station.
Yeah.
And so she tells her whole story, albeit a little out there, ghosts and
in
everything.
the context of the story, I told you when I watched the
Yeah.
movie, in the context of the story, it doesn't make any sense, or makes sense for the police officers to be saying what they're saying.
Yes,
But
from what we're knowing as a viewer, like we want her to be believed.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a woman police officer and a man interviewing her, and at the end of the interview, you hear like she's like getting like water or something, I don't know, and out of the men's bathrooms right behind him, and he's making fun of her in the background, and she can hear the whole thing. And then she storms off, and then the female one catches her in the hallway. She's like, wait. She wants to believe her, but she needs more to go on. It's like, it's,
right.
it's a fucked up scene for sure, but it definitely happens all the time. Like,
Yeah.
it also reminded me of a funny part where she's having a mental breakdown in the library. And ends up almost stabbing Jocasta because she thinks it's one of the ghosts with a man. And then fucking John comes out of nowhere and grabs her hand. It's like,
He's like, hey,
where the fuck did you come from?
again, John, what the fuck? She tried to murder someone. Why are you still into her?
It's like, oh my God, that scene was something else. But yeah, last thing I have to talk about is the whole James Bond influence this movie has. Like, holy shit. Like, yeah, James Bond is around the 60s. Like,
well, yeah, the first scene when she comes into the 60s, Thunderball is playing in the movieplex.
Thunderball is playing. She orders a Vesper, which is a drink created by Ian Fleming in the novelization of Casino Royale.
Yep.
Because named after Vesper Lynd, the character.
The best Bond girl. Oh my God, best girl. Have you seen? We did Casino Royale.
Did you say that?
I don't know. I've seen it a lot of times. I forget sometimes when we do it on the podcast. But yeah, listen to that podcast. It's very good. We watched Casino Royale like 2 years ago.
A year ago.
Like
a little over a year ago.
A little over a year. Yeah, it's like episode 7 or 8 of Movie Drunks.
I think it's more than that. I think it's in there. We talked about it at the staircase scene where it looks like it's an opening theme for a James Bond movie. Diana Rigg was a Bond girl.
Yeah, she was a Bond girl.
On Her Majesty's Secret Service, she played James Bond's wife.
Mm-hmm.
So
wait, she's the one who gets killed?
Yeah.
I mean, spoiler alert. Sorry for the 40-year-old movie, but
yeah.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah, and
I like Diana Rigg. Just rest in peace, by the way. For her role as Olenna Tyrell in Game of Thrones, she fucking kills it, dude. It's fucking awesome.
Yeah. And then there's another one where they go to a Halloween party and they're dressed as like skeletons. They have like the skeleton face paint on, which references Spectre, because in the opening scene of Spectre, the Dia de los Muertos,
which
is that
you could have picked a better Bond movie
but
to
also,
homage.
The same thing. The skull paint references the villain Baron Samedi in Live and Let Die. So
I didn't see that one.
Suck.
I just know the is it Paul McCartney? Or no, it's Wings. Where he's like, "Live and let die."
Yeah.
That's the song. Yeah.
No, that's the Beatles, isn't it?
No, it was Paul McCartney's other band, the Wings.
Oh, that is okay. Got it. But yeah, obviously Edgar Wright likes James Bond, and I think he's probably wanted to direct a James Bond movie for a while, which that'd be interesting. I don't know how it'd work though.
Listen, I think that gives me vibes of Tarantino directing Star Trek.
Yeah,
that gives me those vibes where it's like I don't think I used to be a believer in like the indie quirky director can direct a really big franchise movie until I saw The Last Jedi.
Until you saw Eternals.
Till I saw Eternals, and you know what I mean. So it's a lot of hits, a lot of misses too. Mm-hmm. So sometimes you'll have a James Gunn, but other times you'll have a Chloe Zhao.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Like it's.
But Edgar Wright has his own style. I think he I think he would bring too much of the goofiness to James Bond, which is fine in where it was. But now we're in an era where James Bond is gritty, and I like that. I like that a lot.
Well, that era's over now, though. Daniel Craig's era is over. They could change it again. So
I just don't think we're out of that era yet with like characters like specific. You know, who are the most popular characters in recent memory? You have Walter White. You have the new Batman. Batman's still dark. You know, they're doing a rebooted franchise. They're doing like Dexter. Who else? What are some other ones? Joker.
Yeah, Joker.
I'm looking at my shelf right now.
There's Marvel people too. Like that's all kind of gritty. I mean, there's
Mission Impossible got like darker. You know, it's still kind of campy, but like it got a lot darker than it was. You know, so I just don't think we're out of that era. You know,
yeah, I get what you're saying.
I think, you know, and especially I don't like. Maybe he could serialize it in a better way.
Cereal. I'm hungry.
Oh man, I'm hungry. I'm getting Steph's making Parmesan chicken thighs. Can't wait to have those. It's gonna be good.
Yeah, I can't eat anything else the rest of the day. So, yeah. Anyway,
you want to give the ratings?
Yeah, let's rate this baby.
Well, I rate my baby an A+ because it's the cutest baby in the whole wide world.
Is that Mando?
Yeah, Mando. He's my boy. He's my boy. Although I hate him because when he climbs on my chest in the middle of the night when I'm trying to sleep. It's the most fucking annoying thing ever. But anyway, I'll give this movie an 87.
Ooh. Okay.
87.
It's better than higher than the 85s you usually give.
Yeah, I know. 85 is usually my barometer, but
yeah.
Yeah, 87 because I think this movie is very stylized in a good way. It has good social commentary for once I've ever seen in a movie. Jesus Christ. There's a lot of stuff that I have to like just suspend my disbelief because I just don't get it, specifically with John, as I've pointed out routinely in this movie or video or podcast.
Wow.
I wish it was video. We got to work on that. But yeah, 87. That's where I land.
Yeah, I agree. Very stylized, very well written, very good psychological horror, and good themes throughout. Like, I don't know if it's gonna make the top 10 of the year, but I think it's got a good chance to make it. I gotta go through the rest of my list again, but I think I'm gonna give this 87's a good place. I'm gonna give it that as well. 87's a good spot for it. I love me some psychological horror. I loved Get Out. I loved oh God, what's another good psychological horror movie? Hereditary, yeah. And that's its own animal itself. That's got actual horror in it.
Yeah. An old one that you should probably watch if you haven't is Jacob's Ladder.
Never heard of it.
It's really good. It's about like a Vietnam vet who's like has like schizophrenia.
Oh,
and shit.
Fantastic.
It's really cool.
But yeah, so I like this a lot, and I'm happy with it. I'm very happy with Edgar Wright's latest movie, Last Night in Soho. So with that, we are Seen It Before. You can find us on Instagram and TikTok with the handle @SeenItBeforecast. That's SCENE. Yeah, I'm Dan. You can find me on Instagram with the handle @DanTheDonutMan1. I post concert photos, pictures in general, photography. Whenever I can go back to concerts, that'd be great. Whenever, they just announced that fucking When We Were Young festival.
Are you going to that?
No, I'm not.
Oh, no.
I really wanted to go. That looked so dope. They just added a second day, too. I was like, fuck.
Well, me and Seth were talking, there's no way that they could do all those bands in one day.
It is. No, all the bands are playing on both those days.
Oh, okay. Well, 2 days is better than one, right?
No, as in, they're all
they're doing two sets? One per day?
Yes.
Oh my God. Dude, that's not going to work. Oh my God, this is going to be the Firefest of the emo.
It's literally going to be Firefest, but also kind of Astroworld at the same time.
Oh boy.
I was like, oh, no. Anyway, that's beside the point. But yeah, go ahead, Danny.
I'm Danny. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Danny_Was or my YouTube channel, which is just Danny Was. Pay attention to our socials for the next upcoming movie. That's the word. We're going to be posting teases, kind of 5 facts for the next movie that we're doing. See if you can guess the movie before it comes out.
Exactly.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, those are on Fridays.
And then we'll post on Sundays.
Yep. Unless it's a movie that's in theaters, then we post it on the day the movie comes out.
Yeah.
So you can go back and listen whenever you feel like it, whenever you see the movie.
Yeah.
Our next upcoming movie we're gonna see is, spoiler alert, I'm not gonna say it. Anyway.
Spoiler, I'm not gonna say it.
Yeah, sorry.
I love it.
I'm an asshole like that. Anyway, it's been an honor, everyone. So
it has been an honor.